All right. I hope everybody's doing well. To start out, I'm just going to be starting out and introduce myself. So my name is Daniel Poppie. I am an author from southeastern Wisconsin. I guess you could say what I write is adventure, but I write like different subgenres under adventure, sci-fi, mystery right now, different things like that. If you do want to know more about me in more depth, you can check out my website, danielpoppie.com. Okay, that is going to be the best place to go to see what I'm all about. And I'll have that up on the screen so you know how to spell everything. It might not be what you think. I write books. So along with that, I write books to entertain people. I write books to transport people to other places. When I write a book, I want to have fun with the book. And if I have fun with the book and I have fun with what's happening in the book, I think other people will have fun with what's happening in the book as well. And I'm not trying to be a Terry Pratchett and make weird jokes and put weird things into my books necessarily. I'm not necessarily trying to do that, but I am trying to write a book that somebody can pick up and they're like, oh yeah, this is fun. I like this book. It's something I can do, right? That's kind of how I approach it. So right now I'm writing a dark detective series, right? Its unofficial name is the Arthur Caol detective series. I think it's actually its official name. And this is kind of a dark detective noir, gothic horror type series like H.P. Lovecraft, something like that. It's not a horror scary thing, but if you think of gothic horror really isn't scary. It's just weird stuff happening in the dark, and it has monsters and different things like that, etc. So read Frankenstein and you'll get a better feel. Read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, you'll get a better feel, stuff like that. This is a series, and the goal with the series is to have the same character, is to allow the readers to connect to the same character, because I think that's much more useful. I think it's much more enjoyable to the readers when they see the character interact with different situations and they see the character grow. And though this is a series, you're going to be able to read the books in any order you want, but I would encourage you to read them in the correct order, because it's going to have some connective tissue and the characters are going to change throughout the series. So I would encourage you to read them in the order that they're listed, but you don't have to. I mean, if you like one of the books, you should be able to pick it up and read it in any order you want. Let me see what else I have here. The books. So one of the big annoyances I have with series that I've run into, and I think it happens to children's series more, and it happens to, television shows a lot. I hate it. Is that they keep on telling the same story again and again and again. And I'm just like, tell a different story already, people. We already got past this story, so tell a different one. You're allowed to tell a different story, but people are so, the entertainment industry and the movies, especially movies and TV, are so risk averse that they almost always refuse to take risks on things. You know, they have to see things actually make an impact somewhere, instead of saying, hey, we have this great new idea, let's take a risk on this great new idea. And it's been a while since they've taken a risk on something. You know, we wouldn't have Star Wars if they didn't take a risk on something, but now they refuse, or it seems like they refuse to even take a risk on Star Wars, which is already a big brand, you know, but they had to take a risk on that and say, hey, this might be something that could work or it could flop, but let's give it a try. And it turned out to be like the biggest, it turned out to be a phenomenon, you know? So I don't like it when people don't take risks. And it seems like people who write television shows, especially, they get a good idea the first season and they're like, well, that idea works. People liked that idea. And they keep on going with it. So my books are not going to be the same story every single time. I hate it. They're all going to be mysteries, of course, but they're not going to be the same story every single time. And I'm sorry, I'm getting off my high horse, and that's what I'm going to say about that. You can have your own opinions, and you can certainly disagree with me. So the first book in this series is called A Cure for Death, and I would be remiss if I didn't show you the book itself. You can get this on Amazon. I will have it in the description, the link to it, because why wouldn't I show you exactly where you can get it? And you'll be able to follow that link and grab it. For these, and it might not be the case right now because there's a lot of things going on, but for the first book, I'm going to have this on sale a little bit for this week and next week during launch week. So if you didn't get the first book, you can grab the first book right now or during these 2 weeks for a sale price, all right? And then you can grab the second book during launch week, and I'll definitely tell you when that is. The second book the second book, I'm not a chicken. The second book is called The Fugue Estate. All right, and if you guessed what that is and what happens in the book clearly, and you guessed it close enough to what I'm going to say right now, definitely reach out to me, because I might have missed your comment if you guessed it, because again, stuff is happening. A lot of stuff is happening right now. The second book is about Arthur has a woman with a mystery, and she comes to him and she talks to him about this case. And she says that her sister has disappeared. Arthur goes to look, and he looks around the women's room. The oddest thing he finds is he finds just a feather in the woman's room, and he's been told that the woman is allergic to birds. Therefore, she shouldn't have a feather in her room. But what happens is he finds out the woman actually isn't missing. All right, and that's what I'm going to leave you with right there. And yeah, I don't know. I don't like to give away too much information, because if I give you too much information, then you'll know exactly what happens in the book, and it's a mystery. You don't even do that with non-mysteries. People freak out about spoilers. I'm not going to give you that. All right, so I've got a couple questions, but they'll probably take a little bit of time to answer. So the first question is, where did the idea for this book come from? All right. And when I was thinking about this question, I sat down and I started to write, and I'm like, no, I can't tell them exactly where the idea came from, because I'll give away exactly what the idea is. So I can't give you the exact idea, but I do have something else I wrote down. All right. So when I wrote this book, especially when I came to the ending of this book, I started to think, and I wanted to make a character that I wanted to make a villain that the reader could agree with, possibly, or the reader could see why they might actually be right about something, or partially right about something. I didn't want to make a villain who was just evil, okay? Because that does happen, and I think there is validity in making a villain that's just pure evil. But at the same time, I wanted to make a villain who thought they were doing the right thing, and I wanted to make a villain who could express that thing, because I don't agree with what the villain's doing, but there's plenty of people throughout history who have said, well, the ends justify the means. We need to do this because we're trying to get to a better situation in life. Or there's people who just had weird viewpoints about things, and they thought they were doing what was correct, but they were actually doing something terrible to other people. So I wanted to have that in the book in some form, and I think I succeeded. All right, so my second question, and this will be the last one. How is this book different than the first? So I kind of talked about this before. So it will be repeating the same world, but the plot and what is happening in the book is going to be different. So the world is a dark world. The world has weird stuff happening in it. And my goal with any of these books is that you see the world as the same thing, right? It's kind of like exploring. You go to some place and you kind of have a general idea of what that thing is. And you go out and explore that area, and suddenly you find something that changes your perspective on how the world works and what's around that area. So that's kind of what I'm doing. So I'm trying to push the boundaries of what that world is to allow readers to see more of that world and see more of what can happen in that world and the different issues in that world in as short of this time as I possibly can. I mean, I'm doing it in 35,000 words, so the goal is to pack that in and show people as much of the world as I can, which is somewhat of a feat. But with the story itself, I'm trying to make a story that fits into that world. And some of those stories are going to surprise you. And some of those stories are going to be like, oh, I didn't imagine this to be part of the world. Some of those stories are going to be something that you're going to be like, oh, this makes a lot of sense and it fits in the world. But I'm always trying to make a different story with this. And I want to use that world I created in the first story and build off that world and grow that world. And this book is dark still. It still has that dark feeling. So I would say that it still has the dark feeling. It still has a villain, but it approaches the villain in a different way than the first book if you read the first book. So just a few things, housekeeping, I guess. I'm going to be putting out more information on this book Sunday, August 30th. I'm also going to be doing a cover reveal on Sunday. Is it August still? August 30th. Okay, Sunday, August 30th, I'm going to be doing a cover reveal. I don't know what month it is. I don't pay attention to the month. So keep your eyes open for that. If you haven't gotten the first book, like I said before, I will have the link. There's going to be a sale on the first book right now and then next week as well. So you'll be able to grab the first book on sale this week or next week. And if you do not want to make, if you want to make sure you don't miss anything, let's say that correctly, sign up for my newsletter, danielpoppie.com/newsletter. You never know what's going to happen. You know, Facebook could go the way of MySpace people. And what would you do, right? If you're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever platform you're on, MySpace isn't around, but I can keep emails and I can keep on reaching out to you when I have new stuff coming out. And like I said a couple days ago, I'm not spamming your inbox. The only time I'm really sending out a lot of emails is if something's happening, like a book's coming out or something like that. So my goal isn't really to be like, hey, like this is what's going on. Like my goal isn't to be like, hey, how's it going, people? I'm in your inbox again. My goal is to tell you when stuff is happening, right? Important stuff that you would be interested in. So again, danielpoppie.com/newsletter is where you can find this. And if you like my work, if you like what I write, if you enjoy what I write, if you like me, if you like my podcast, a big, huge help to me is if you like this video and if you share it. That's huge. So if you don't want to sign up for my newsletter, like this video and share it, and that's a good thanks that you can give me if you like my stuff, or it's just support you can give me if you want to support me and you have no interest in reading my stuff. And I know there's people out there who want to do that, so I'm just going to tell you right here.